Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special evening with the Modern Fairy Sightings podcast. Really delighted to be here this evening, and we've got lots in store, lots of treats to look forward to. Just to say thank you so much for joining us, and we are delighted to be joining with Lights in the Sky Gallery to host Anna Vigurs' exhibition, The Imaginings. Both Justin and Anna are members of the Modern Fairy Sightings Patreon group, and it's been an absolute honour to get to know them and their work over the months and witness this incredible collaboration here. Our whole group is a really special, open-hearted group of people who I'm proud to know, many of whom will be here this evening, and I'd like to thank them all for their support, which has brought us all here tonight. So I know you're all looking forward to seeing Anna's work. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Justin, artist and photographer, Justin James Reed, as the founder and director of Lights in the Sky Gallery in Virginia.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Justin.
Thank you so much, Jo. Really appreciate it. And welcome everyone to Lights in the Sky here in person and online. Absolutely thrilled to have you here. It's difficult to articulate how grateful I am to Jo for bringing us all together today. I literally cannot overstate how much Jo has done to make this happen. So thank you so much. In fact, Anna and I would have never met if not for her brilliant podcast, The Modern Fairy Sightings, and the amazing Discord community that she has gathered around it. Jo truly is a light in this field. Her outlook, intention, and insights are invaluable to understanding the deeper layers of reality and the natural world that connects us. I cannot wait to read her forthcoming book, Modern Fairy Sightings, Personal Encounters in Extraordinary Times, when it is released later this year. I have no doubt that it was written with deep care and will exude her thoughtful and undeniably unique perspective. So quickly, I just want to talk a little bit about the gallery for those of you who may be unfamiliar. Lights in the Sky opened earlier this year here in Richmond, Virginia, and Anna's beautiful exhibition is the second in the space. Each exhibition explores aspects of anomalous phenomena and is an opportunity for experiencers to articulate their experiences through artistic means. Visual art is such a powerful medium with which to convey experience, and I am honored by the artists who have trusted me to present their work and experiences here. Each experience has an accompanying publication, an edition of 33. Anna's publication is being released today and is available through the website as well. And so now it's a deep honor to introduce my friend, Anna Vigurs. One of the most wonderful aspects of curating shows for the gallery is getting to be in ongoing conversation with incredible artists. Anna and her work have truly brought joy to my life, and through our conversations, I have gained deeper insight into my own understanding of the natural world. In fact, I believe Anna's work indeed exemplifies the need for us to collectively re-examine our relationship to the natural world. It feels to many that we are at a precipice. Anna's work lovingly invites a viewer to see the world not as some kind of material resource, but as alive and full of its own essence and being. This critical understanding that is manifested so beautifully through her work is one that I cannot emphasize enough. Part of this exhibition was collaborative in that many of the natural items that are gathered in the gallery, here in the window that you cannot see online, and incorporated in the masks that are behind me, were collected from woods that are outside of my house here in Virginia. In many ways, a method of linking the landscapes of Wales and Virginia. One unexpected aspect of doing this for me was the deep sense of intention that materialized while gathering them. I found myself engaged in deep looking at each branch, at each rock, at each leaf. I saw life moving across their surfaces. I saw their individual characteristics, and it gave me a knowing of the reverence that Anna holds for the natural world. I am so excited for what she is going to share with us all here today. So please join me in welcoming Anna Vigurs.
Goodness me, thank you. I've never had anyone say anything so kind. So thank you, and thank you, Jo. As Justin said, we've been we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you, my love, for everything you do. So I thought I would start just by describing where I live, just to give you a sense of the environment that enriches me on a daily basis and brings me into deeper knowing. And that's the Wye Valley. So I live in Wales, in the Wye Valley, which is a wooded hillside that goes on for miles and miles, and it's actually a Celtic rainforest. We have ancient, incredible trees here, and a huge river that runs through the landscape. So yeah, I just wanted to bring you into what I see on a daily basis. Yeah, so my studio is in my garden. It used to be at my kitchen table, and it was a complete and utter nightmare trying to make dolls. I'm sure you can imagine there's material and clay and chaos and children and animals, and I eventually was gifted by my grandma some money, and I was able to build this very small but very special studio, which I call the Imaginings. So I thought I would talk. I've got my notes in front of me. So why do I make dolls? Well, I never set out to make dolls. It was never part of my creative path. I was a student that studied fine art sculpture and worked in all kinds of mediums, but dolls would have been seen as too whimsical in the snobby art world that I was mixing with at the time. The dolls just happened when I bought a bag of clay, and these little faces started appearing, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I made them bodies, and as I made them bodies, I discovered that I wanted to put intentions inside them and material from the natural world. So a lot of my dolls have herbs inside them, soil, roots, because I really felt that we are missing magic as we grow older. You know, it's kind of taken away from us when we reach the age of 12 and we're not allowed these objects anymore. So I wanted to bring back intentional objects for adults. Doll making is brilliant for me because I'm a busy person. My hands always need to be busy, and when you make a doll, you make a head, which is a sculpture. You have to figure out a body. This is quite a simple doll, and then you have to figure out the embellishments and how you're gonna decorate them. So there's so many aspects to doll making which I find really, really enjoyable for my hands and my brain. Everything I make has sustainability at the back of my mind. I'm really conscious of the materials I use. So all the dolls are made from paper clay, which is literally clay and paper fibers mixed together, which fuse beautifully hard. So the amount of times I've dropped dolls on the floor, but they've survived. They wouldn't have survived if they were ceramic. So it's kind of a really interesting, not very easy medium to work with, but I seem to understand it now. So it's really important for me that the dolls can break down over time, but I want them to become heirlooms and to be loved and passed through families with stories attached to them. Not just my stories that I put them out into the world with, but that they absorb stories from where they live. What am I saying now? So yes, it's very important for me that over time they can break down and return to the natural world, because I worry so much about overconsumption and materialism, and my role in that. So all of my material is recycled and gifted to me, which is great because the material kind of has stories before we even get going. on making a doll. Everything I do is slow, and that's intentional. I could have a sewing machine, but I don't get on very well with technology and things that move really fast. And I think this sort of way of making art, it has to be slow. It has to grab my attention and my intention. And hand stitching is part of the magic for me. Yeah, I wrote here, I just find being intentionally slow very good for my well-being, because we live in such a fast-paced world where everything has to be done now, and I'm a little bit of a rebel, and I really want to rebel against things being created really fast. So doll making keeps me grounded. This exhibition is a gathering of my creations that don't actually have a theme. We discussed having a theme, and I found it it was a great theme actually. It was all to do with regeneration, renewal and healing, because back in November, the winter, my town went through a huge flood and my entire art studio was flooded. We had water up to here. It was crazy. I lost loads of work, and oh, it was a nightmare. So we were going to do something about recovery and community, but actually I just couldn't work from that place because I don't think I've processed all that yet. So we decided, Justin was very kind, and he decided to just give me free rein to do whatever I want. So there's just kind of collections from my imaginings and pieces that feel like they are kind of channeled. And the word channeled feels a little bit difficult to use. It has quite a lot of religious, spiritualist connotations, but I can't quite think of another word for it. But I get this feeling of oneness when I'm making my dolls. This feeling of complete and utter oneness can come over me, and I can hear sounds, I can get scents, like smells come in, and visions, and they can take me on a journey which leads me to creating different types of dolls. Sometimes I feel like I've got a queue of different things right by the side of me here that are asking to be made, and I have to get really quiet and able to listen to them. When I'm in this state, it feels like a compulsive, huge burst of energy that is directed in a really channeled kind of way. And sometimes the states I can get in when I'm making art, and I don't think this is just for me, I think this happens for musicians, all kinds of people that are creative. They can last hours, or they can even last days. My family just bring me water and food when I'm in one of my moments of creating, and I'll often just come out of it and be a bit surprised at what I've created. So now the lovely Nikki, who's in the gallery, thank you so much, Nikki, for helping us do this. She has a camera, and she's going to show you a couple of pieces that came from the other places. So there's a collection of masks that I made. Thank you, Nikki. I made these masks in a very odd situation on my living room floor after we had been flooded. So my entire art studio was uprooted, so much was thrown away, but all I could get my hands on was black paint, a couple of tools and a bag of clay. So this whole channeling thing happened whilst I was in this state of disarray, and all of these masks just came tumbling out of my hands and into being. So there's multiple masks. There's 4 of them. And what is so lovely is that Justin's gone out into his back garden and he's collected all of these bits of wood and twigs from Virginia. So when you put these natural objects inside the mask, it kind of animates it, and they completely change the vibe of each character depending on what you put in the little slots, which is really fun because you can really customize them with all sorts of things. Thank you, Nikki. That's lovely. So yeah, I was just sat on the floor compulsively making these masks. They were quite hard to dry, so one of my little hot tips for artists that want to air dry clay is I was putting them in the air fryer, which was a bit annoying for my family. So I was putting the air fryer on really, really low and putting the masks in there just to dehydrate the moisture. little inside tip there. So the next pieces that felt like they were from a channeled place were the Animist collection. There's 4 of these. And these were just like, honestly, I was like a woman possessed making these. I went out into the garden, just started pacing around my garden, trying to find sticks. And I just knew I had to find special sticks. And I came back into the studio. By this point, I'd managed to sort my studio out. And I just sat down with a handful of sticks, a whole bunch of clay. And I was just like in this process of clumping the clay together, mashing the sticks together, and pardon me, the way the clay came together formed all these shapes. I actually had very little to do with the way the clay bonded to the sticks, and all of these little shapes started appearing. And then I was able to go in with fine I can't remember what tool I used now, something really sharp and small, and I was just able to make these indentations and bring out these little features that are quite rudimentary and quite primitive, and that's exactly how they had to be. It's like they have little spirits. They're little spirits really that just wanted to come through. I can now talk about the Salt and Ash doll. So I'm going to share something pretty odd with you guys that happened to me. I remember speaking to Justin and saying, Justin, I've been doing something really weird. And what I was doing was getting up every single morning and going out into the garden to my fire pit that we've been having these small fires. And I was ritually covering myself in ash, all up my arms, all over my hands, sometimes over my feet. And it was this compulsion. I don't know why I was doing it, but it felt very important to me that I had to do this. And this happened for a couple of weeks. And sometimes the ash would be really difficult and sloppy and make a real mess, and I'd have to go and wash. But other days it would be drier, like powder, and I'd come into the studio with it all up my arms, my hands, and I'd pick up the clay and the material. And she's a result of my messiness, but it just felt so important. She had to have ash inside her. The photo of the book, the beautiful book that Justin's made. This is yeah, this was actually a staged photo shoot, because when I was in the process, this odd ritual of covering myself, I didn't want anyone to be around me. It was very private and very primal, whatever was happening there. My neighbours must have been having a right laugh. Can you hear me? Yeah. So yes, she is filled with ash from the fire. She's also filled with salt, because salt felt very important. She's about purity and burning things away and ritual. She has deer antlers for her legs. And there was, am I okay to keep going? I'm aware I'm really talking here. Let's see. Oh, spirit of the house. Yeah, thank you. So I made this doll's face quite a while ago, and she sat in my studio up on a shelf, just looking at me, just waiting for me to do something with her. And when I made her, I knew that she had to be connected to wood. I just kept getting this message, she has to go on wood. So I found a really cool branch and sculpted her onto it. Basically completed a complete sculpture, but it wasn't right. So I pulled it all apart, which is actually, I need to say this, a really big part of being a doll maker is being able to surrender your expectations and be like, oh my God, I've worked a week on this, but it's terrible, and you have to pull it apart. So anyway, I took her apart, and then I found this really lovely old kind of like, I don't know what they're called, but it feels like it might have gone in a banister on stairs or something, like a railing. And I managed to carve out the wood, and she slotted in so beautifully. And I sealed her, and I wrapped her with this antique French lace that I dyed with tea, which was lovely to use a plant dye. She just needed to be more muted and blending into the wood. And she kind of comes from my oh, I've lost my notes now. Yes, I feel so often that, like we all do, I'm sure, houses and buildings, they retain a certain spirit, and I feel like she is a character that has come from a house like from a long time ago, and she's still echoing and part of the fabric of that house. So I'd love to know what her story is, and if you have any feelings about her. Oh, now we're going to move on to the boat. Justin did a film of this for me. So when we were talking about the floods and potentially doing something to do with that, I knew I wanted to make a boat, and I love boats. I love the romantic thoughts of going out in a little wooden sailing boat, and I really wanted to make a boat. And it's got it's made from an armature of cardboard, and then I've covered it in clay, and I've embossed the clay with fabric, so it has this really like textured feel and look to it, and you just want to kind of touch it because it doesn't look like it should look like that. So you want to kind of get in there and feel it. And I found this branch out the back of my house where we've got a medieval ditch that's part of Offa's Dyke. So it was like an old boundary line. It's literally out the back of my house. And I found that branch, and I thought, oh, that would be so cool to put that in there. I had this idea of making a boat full of ghosts, and I tried to make some ghosts and it didn't really work. So I kind of abandoned that and created these little wire people. And I've never made dolls like this before. These are completely new. Yeah, they were an absolute joy coming through my hands because they were just like teaching me so much about a different way of doll making. And they have little nature treasures with them. I think they've got teeth, bones, herbs and shells with them. And yeah, they're just on an adventure. I feel like they're from a liminal space and they have come to Earth and they're collecting treasures to maybe take back home. This is situated down in the basement of Justin's gallery, and it's like an installation all on its own, which is very cool. And I'd just like to say the thing that's cool about that is that Justin and I had a kind of psychic moment where I had a vision that this was going to be in a dark space with a spotlight on it, but we didn't actually discuss where it was going to go in the gallery. And then Justin sent me a message and said, I've had this really cool idea. It needs to go in the dark on a plinth with a spotlight. And it was like, you read my mind. I didn't even know that was a possibility to do that. So yeah, it was really lovely that he picked up on that. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've just lost my notes now. Oh yeah, I wrote, I think it's really lovely for the audience to feel into my work and to create their own narratives, as well as hearing my opinions, because art is all about connecting on a soul level. Maybe some people won't enjoy what they see, but those that do get it, I feel like it speaks to them in a certain way. And you know, I've created a piece called Sorrow. I haven't written anything down to talk about her, but she actually is they. That piece is non-binary, and it just kind of symbolizes carrying very, very heavy emotions. And yeah, it packs a bit of a punch, that one. Last bit now. I've written, it's important and integral for me as an artist to embrace and cultivate playfulness. Oh, I forgot about them. These are 3-dimensional sketches. So these are blocks of wood wrapped in antique lace and material, sewn and wrapped with cotton. And these were also part of being a very compulsive, kind of channeled, obsessive bit of creation. They're all untitled. They don't really have a theme with the show other than that they are all from nature and they'll be able to go back into nature. But it's how my brain works. I can't sketch things down. I have to be very tactile and get everything out in 3D. And that kind of goes along with what I was saying, that I love to embrace and cultivate playfulness and curiosity without being attached to outcomes, because that is just hard. When you're an artist, you have to be able to let things go. And I feel like our human experience needs to remember how integral playfulness is for creativity and problem solving, but also for deepening within ourselves. Unfortunately, it's not encouraged within education and it slips away. Playful engagement is a foundational pillar to my work. When I relax enough, the imaginings are born. And that's the end.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was lovely. I think Joe's going to jump on here again in a second as well. just for everybody in the chat, I did see some notes about getting closer. Unfortunately, the tech made it a little difficult. I will say there is fuller documentation online on the website, which is lightsinthesky333.com. And of course, if you're anywhere near Richmond, Virginia, I cannot encourage you enough to come and see the work in person, because it certainly is something to be in its presence as well. So thank you, Anna. That was absolutely lovely. I always love being in conversation with you and just hearing a little bit more about, what you're thinking about and where the work come from. So in that regard, when you speak about channeling, and please feel free to share as much as you want to on this. I don't want you to feel like you need to share any more than you already did. But I'm just kind of curious, do you have a sense of where you're going? Like, is there a psychic space that you might be going into, or some other realm? I don't know. Is there a way that you articulate that for yourself? I'm just curious.
I don't honestly know how to label it, other than it's just so intense. It's almost like if you drink a really, really strong coffee, or you take a mind-altering substance and you are just in it. That's what happens to me. And I would be able to complete a task. Like, I would be able to go and talk to my children, and it's not like my brain's just gone, what, can't do anything. But that's how it feels, like that kind of intensity.
And is it something that you find that you are, it overcomes you, or are you, I know you had talked about a ritual before, with ash and salt in particular, is there an element of ritual involved in this to get you to that place?
No.
Or it will sometimes come over you?
No ritual. I kind of wish I was more of a ritual person, but I'm kind of a bit sporadic and slapdash. I don't really commit to doing ritual work. It just will just land on me and you're doing this.
It's fascinating, because it does remind me of, just like kind of being struck by artistic inspiration, right? Or being kind of taken in a way, which is, really beautiful. Jo, I have one more question. I don't know if you wanted to ask anything, though. I don't want to hog the question space here. So one thing that you and I have talked about as well, Anna, is the kind of varying reactions that people have to your work. So some people will come into this space and they'll be very enchanted, and they'll feel very joyous and find the dolls very calming. And then other people come into the space and they'll actually feel fearful. And, and so they provoke this, like a range of emotions, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I'm just kind of curious if you have any insight into that, or if there's anything you would want to speak up a little bit more on the fact that the dolls do have this capacity to, really affect people in very different ways.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me hearing people's reactions. It feels like, not to genderize this, but it does feel like men are more nervous of my work. And that's been feedback I've had from my male friends. And my brother, he's like, oh, you freaky dolls. Just doesn't get it. It's fine. Or he does get it and he just can't go there. I think, horror films have lent a hand in how we look at dolls. And I think because I don't make them super cute either, they are kind of a little bit ancient looking, and I don't know, maybe they just carry something that feels further away. I don't know, and people are just not ready to acknowledge that. I'm not sure, but I actually welcome people to be nervous. Maybe not nervous, maybe that's not the right word, but I think it's really interesting for me as an artist to provoke that. And and it's fine if people don't feel it. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, to me, I often think about anomalous experience and how very often, for many people, myself included, it can be very scary at first and something that is hard to look at. But then once you integrate it more, it can really become very enlightening and a beautiful experience. And in some ways, I see your dolls and, antipathizing that, and that their essence kind of provokes that within viewers across different spectrums. So then people meeting them wherever they're at in that moment, I think is really present in your work, which I love.
And they are unusual, you know, we don't see anything like this in shops or normally in galleries. We've kind of had, culturally, we don't have dolls around. It's just a childish thing, and they're made of plastic. And but maybe more indigenous cultures have held on to the art of doll making. It'd be interesting to, my dream would be able to explore loads of different countries and their art practices and to see what their dolls are like. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Jo, did you want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Anna. There's some questions and comments in the chat, and just in response to what you were saying about, you know, not sort of doing any particular ritual, Anna. Astral has mentioned the fact of, you know, painting yourself with ash does seem like a very natural ritual behavior among people, you know, all over, albeit with potentially clays or pigments, which is so true. And I thought the same, you know, that most definitely is a ritual. And I think we know what our need is, don't we? And I thought that was, you know, I thought that was really beautiful to hear about your, you know, the insight of how that came about.
I feel like there's a lot of performance on social media. I see a lot of people doing a lot of rituals, and they've spent ages setting their cameras up, and I think I have rejected, it's kind of given me the ick, you know. So I'm very, very private with it when things like that happen. I've also had it where I've brought in a plate of earth, and I've just drawn my circles with my finger in the earth, like got myself into this hypnotized state, just tracing my fingers round and round, and also with rice, which is quite odd. I've never spoken about that, but it just felt like something my body needed to do. So yeah, these really quiet rituals connect to my body, my mind, my spirit, with no outcome intended other than being playful.
Yeah. And I guess to kind of in that same area, Matt had a question. Do you consciously pick up on different energies or frequencies from the materials when you're looking for something to incorporate in a given work?
Nice. Yeah, I've definitely picked things up. And they have not felt like they want to come into the studio, and I've just put them back out in the garden. Going for walks in forests, I'll see the most beautiful gnarled bit of wood, really want to take it home, but I'm like, actually no, this is supporting a whole ecosystem here. I've got absolutely no right to pick that up and take it into the house. So yeah, I do get messages of pick me or leave me alone. Definitely.
And is that kind of with the materials too? So do you get drawn to, I mean, it was interesting to hear, you know, you had to go out in the garden and get those sticks. You didn't know what was going to form, but they, you know, sticks were the main part of it. And yeah, it is playful and just so intuitive.
I'm a real fusspot as well when it comes to the texture of fabric. I can't stand anything that is, it just feels manufactured, like really man-made, you know. People have given me material and they're being very, very sweet and kind. But I think it's the frequency of a man-made material, as we all know now, they're really bad for our bodies, aren't they? So, yeah, I say, oh, thank you very much. And then I donate it because I don't want my dolls to have that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think a lot more of us are actually feeling that too, and choosing clothes for ourselves that are, you know, made of natural fibers. And I also wondered about, you know, your relationship. Oh, that's the footy, isn't it? In the back. There's could you hear that? There's obviously a goal. Anyway, yeah, just as a child, kind of what your relationship was like with clay. I mean, obviously we all had a go at Play-Doh and what have you, and some of our mums made Play-Doh for us when we were kids.
Oh, I can hear it over the hill.
Yeah. Oh, you can hear it too.
Yeah, that's so funny. Sorry, Jo. What was my relationship?
It's fine. Yeah. What
Didn't ever play with it. It wasn't a thing in my house. I had pencils, paper, paint, but yeah, there was no interest in clay. It wasn't something they got out in school either, because it was very messy, and schools don't like kids to get messy. So it was never a factor in my creative, it wasn't a material I ever bonded with.
I'm tempted to ask one more thing, but I just want to remind everyone that's watching, if you want to ask a question, please pop it in the chat. There's some other little comments here. Astrals saying they have so much character. I feel as though they all have a unique personality, and that's so true. And they really do. You very kindly. Well, we commissioned a doll for my birthday last year, and I absolutely love the doll that you made. And she has a very strong presence, and it's quite particular, So they very much do. Any other comments here? Yeah. Oh, Fire in the Cosmos were saying that to actually be there in the studio, in the gallery, they come to life even more with a kind of scent and the sound. The whole thing is a somatic and spiritual experience when you witness them in person. So if anyone's watching that can get there, please do. I'd love to see them all in situ. I'm going to hand back to Justin now, and but yeah, keep the questions coming if you would like.
Absolutely. And we do have a few questions actually here in the gallery. So Grace, if you'd like to come on up and ask Anna a question.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I have a question. Well, first I'll say that me and my friends, we were out walking one night and we saw this, we became really enchanted by this work here that I think is on one of the posters.
One of the solstice totem atom.
Yeah. I think there was a little sign that just had the face of it on it, and I was really super enchanted by it. We all were really obsessed with it, but I just wanted to know your process for making that one specifically, because I just think it's really wonderful.
Thank you.
It just makes me smile to look at it.
Is it that one?
It's okay. He has that face.
Oh, is it the one that's got a blue body?
Yes. Yeah. He's
that one.
Yes, that one. Love that one so much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I knew I wanted to make something quite big and robust, something that had loads of presence, and I just thought, okay, we've just got to go really big here, because I wanted originally to, Justin and I have been talking about putting something in the window that, could bring people in. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and grew these tendrils, these horns, antlers. And then I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to send this to America? So that was quite stressful in a really practical way. How am I going to do this without it getting crushed to bits? But honestly, that piece just came from complete and utter joy, and just wanting to get bigger and bigger and brighter, because most of my work is quite muted. So it's just really fun to bring some colour in, but also a little bit scary, because I'm just not used to vivid.
Yeah, it's really sweet. I love it so much. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then we do have one more question in here, so I'll let Carter, you want to come on up?
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to ask, how did you come about in terms of figuring out the paper clay process for your work? Was it natural? Was it something that was part of your childhood? Did it just kind of come to you in a means of navigating natural materials?
So, do you mean why did I buy paper clay in the first place?
Yes, like how it came
Yeah.
about to be part of your studio practice.
Oh, well, that's a good question, actually, because what I was doing was something completely different before I picked up the clay, and that was that I was trying to build a really big body of work to become a children's illustrator. I was completely in that zone and I really wanted that career, and there were 2 weeks where I couldn't make anything. Nothing was coming, and I got really miserable, and I went into town, went to the local place that sells art things, art supplies, and I just thought I need to do something that's three-dimensional just to try and exercise my brain and take it on another creative journey. And that's when all of those faces started coming in, and I just couldn't ignore them. They just kept coming faster and faster, and that was when I kind of put my paintbrushes and paper down, and I thought, okay, let's embrace what this is. What's this? It was odd. And I had to learn how to use it. I had to go on YouTube and type in how do I use this, because it's quite, I don't know if you've ever used it, but it's quite tricky. It's not like normal clay. So yeah, that's what happened.
I can ask a follow-up question. In terms of the actual like palette that you're using, are you drawing from a history of doll making from Wales, or is it something unique to yourself?
Oh, nice. I'd say so many of them feel like they come from the Northern Hemisphere, definitely, my work. And I'm always really drawn to the sort of colours of the mountains, the forests that you get in Northern Europe. I would say Wales is really foundational to my process, for sure. It is really inspirational for my colour palette, and just the ancient stories from the Celtic lands. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy your work.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I had a little follow-up then, Anna, for you. So when talking about these faces revealing themselves to you, which I just love that aspect of your work, one piece that you were not able to make for this exhibition that you actually spoke about in your episode with Jo that you recorded a little bit ago was the face that you encountered on summer solstice in Wales. And I'm just wondering if you would mind talking a little bit about maybe why that face didn't materialize, or what your sense is as to like what that was about.
Yeah, I just wonder if I can find it a second, because it's been hanging around, but it doesn't want to be. Just 2 seconds. I think it might be over here.
And I do see another question in the chat, but if you all have any more questions, please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat in all caps for us.
Great. So I tried my best to draw the face of the Fae being that I met in the forest and had this amazing encounter with. I couldn't draw it, so I sculpted it. And this face morphed and changed so many times in my connection with it. But I landed on this face, and this is what it felt like in my heart, because it was quite a heart-opening experience as well. So I was going to turn this little, oh no, I don't know if you can see. Hello. I was going to turn this into a doll for the exhibition, but it wouldn't be turned into a doll. I backed it onto a bit of purple because the whole encounter was about purple as well, but yeah, it just wouldn't be made into a doll, and I completely had to respect that. And I pushed it for probably the best part of a week and a half every single day, and no matter what I did, it didn't want to happen. So obviously this isn't the fairy that I met, but there's an energetic thing happening there where it's like, back off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
I can even sorry.
It just sort of sits in my studio as like a little friend that is going to be very respected and not played around with. Yeah,
even when you held it up there, I can feel a sense of it. It's like almost sort of something going up my right arm, but like not as strong as an electric shock, but something like something going up. Just even looking at its face, it's really interesting. Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, Justin. In the chat here, Anthony from Fire in the Cosmos was asking, does the communication from a particular being or consciousness continue after you get them out to the world through your art, or does their task feel complete?
Oh, nice question. I would say with every single doll I make, there is a completion, and I am always really happy to let them go. It feels like my time with them is really, really fleeting, and there's a beautiful thing that happens, and then they go. And yeah, you know, I've had some that hang around for a little while, and I'm like, you need to find your people. You know, because they're not for me anymore. They're for somebody else or somewhere else. And sometimes if dolls don't sell, and if they're not worth loads and loads of like financial money, I will just go and put them in a forest. So I hide them in woodland, and I don't know what happens to them, but it feels fine for me to say goodbye to them.
Love that. Maybe there'll be like podcast episodes in the future, you know, on the theme of, well, I was walking in the forest and one day I sat down and I looked under the moss and I found this little.
Yeah, it's funny. There's just this energy, like, I need to get you out now, and they're happy to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, Anna. So there is one question from Chalky Choo Choo, but I will just really quickly jump forward 1 second here to Astral Spectre. Said, I think you answered my question that I wasn't sure how to pose. Seems these creations really do appear to have their own sort of animacy. And I was just going to say, you know, one thing that I've been telling people when they come into the gallery is some of the most profound works for me are the masks that Anna made, and she spoke about those earlier. And I think, in fact, it was the collaborative aspect of it that has really struck me the most, in that you mentioned, Anna, that I collected some of the materials, and you use this word whimsy a lot, which I think is actually a lovely word to describe a lot of this. And you said, I don't know if you remember this, but you said to me, you said, Justin, you can place whatever you want in there. Just go be whimsical. And then you let me go off of the phone. And so I did. And it was joyous. I mean, it was so much fun doing that. And to go back to Astral's, you know, kind of question there, to me, that when I place those objects, and of course, if anybody were to have one of your masks, that they would be, you know, they're encouraged to put whatever they wanted right into them. But that was where the meeting of the natural world in your hand, right, like that I facilitated by placing it, where they really become alive to me. And that animist quality in your work is really personified. And it just, it's really, really powerful, I have to say. So yes, I believe that they do have their own sort of animacy. Do you have anything to add to that, Anna, or any?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I totally remember saying that to you because I really wanted you to just have loads of fun making the exhibition. Oh, yeah, I suppose because I'm using so many natural things, they all, if we're going to get like quantum and stuff, they all do carry their own vibration, don't they? Which then, I suppose, creates a kind of spirit to the piece, an energetic spirit. So yeah, I like that. Yeah, I definitely have had well, maybe, I mean, I don't know how deep to go into this story, but one of my friends, I made a doll and I gave it I gifted it to her. She loved this doll and I gifted it to her. And she just felt like the doll was alive. I won't go too deep into it. I think you might both know the story. Yeah. But it was a really profound thing of her just feeling this doll was like, it was really helping her with a big emotional thing that had happened to her. and then she felt like whatever was in the doll left. So yeah, sorry, I sound like I'm talking in riddles, but I don't think I can publicly really talk about all of that. But yes, I feel like spirits can either come from within during the creation, possibly, and then maybe weave their way in, because they're vessels, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think because, I mean, I know that actually does sound scary, but I think because I make everything with the most light-hearted, kind intention, yeah, there's nothing scary, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that's great. Yeah, I know one of my favorite things that you say, Jo, is about how you don't need to share everything, right? That some of these things are just for us. And I think that's important to remember. So thank you, Anna. So Chalky Choo Choo 2304 said, Anna, you seem to actively channel something in your work. At what point does the artist and the channeled energy meet? And how do you know when to shape and steer that energy to your artistic vision?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Can you just repeat it? Sorry, just so I've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anna, you seem to actively channel something in your work. At what point does the artist and the channeled energy meet? And how do you know when to shape and steer the energy to your artistic vision?
Oh wow, gosh, I mean, you know when like you can't find the words because the words don't even make sense and they don't kind of like embody what is happening? There's not like a word in our English language for what happens. Yeah, I don't know how to really answer that other than there's actually, I can answer it. It's my body that responds, like my gut. So if something's going right or if something's going wrong or needs to be pushed or pulled this way, it's not necessarily a head like intellectual way of working. It's a gut feeling that happens in my body. Yeah, and can help me move through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And I think, one thing I talk about when I'm talking a little bit more broadly about the gallery is, one thing I've noticed with experiencer art in particular is that very often experiencers are making the work to describe things that often are undescribable, right? Or don't have a grounding perhaps in consensus reality. And so they are compelled to make something physical, to materialize it in a way to have something descriptive to work with, and I think in some ways I heard you kind of echoing that. Did you want me to just keep going on with the questions, Jo? Should I just continue to ask the questions out of the chat?
Yeah, I think, we've got time for a couple more questions, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Mad417 asks, Anna, related to fire in the cosmos question, but do the entities that inhabit the dolls appear in your dreams? Oh, this is a great question. Either before or after you finish the pieces?
Oh, I love that. They do come in before, definitely. I wouldn't say in my dreams. I would say in the space between being awake and asleep. Yeah. I don't often dream about my art at all. My dreams are really boring and about going shopping and feeding my dog and all of that. But it's those spaces in between awake and sleep.
Beautiful. And actually a little bit maybe of a follow-up sort of to some of these questions. Sarah567ERL asked, I just wonder if the personalities of the dolls, or this isn't really a question, but more of a comment, but I just wonder if the personalities of the dolls change over time, much like people do. Do you have a sense of that?
Oh, I love that. I think definitely things reveal themselves over time with the dolls. Definitely. A deepening can happen, not necessarily like a complete shift and change, but I definitely feel that they reveal more.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely. Well, Jo, what do you think?
Well, yeah, it's just been really wonderful to get more of a kind of deeper exploration of Anna's work and to see the pieces for ourselves. We got a good sense of them there, and yeah, I'm just very grateful, Anna, for your sharing of what you do, because it is a very personal thing and it's a very sort of magical process. And I think also it's inspiring because in a lot of ways, what you're saying is just encouraging people to trust what they do, to go out and to gather, those parts of nature that they feel might want to come home with them, and listen out for that no as well. And also just to kind of, this kind of tactile, just perhaps getting some clay, and just having a sense of it in your hands and see what happens too. I think, we tend, as you say, to see the kind of making part of ourselves. We tend to sort of leave it in childhood and not so much bring it into our lives as adults. And it's such a rewarding and nourishing thing to do for yourself. I know when I've had a bit of clay and held it in my hands, oh gosh, something really happens. I feel quite alive when I'm, just even holding it or shaping it and firming it. So I think a lot of us here that wouldn't consider ourselves as artists will go away from this chat and actually perhaps just feel inspired to have a go. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you
oh, sorry, Anna, go ahead, please.
Just thank you so much, Jo. That was lovely.
Yeah, I think some of the most compelling work actually comes from people in this space, I would say, who maybe are untrained or just compelled, like you just said, Jo, just to pick something up and express it. So I'd absolutely encourage everyone to do that, whether or not they consider themselves to be an artist or not. But yeah, and I just wanted to say, thank you for trusting us here today, trusting me with your beautiful work, being so open and caring and just sharing like the energy and the love that you do exude. I mean, it's been such a privilege getting to know you better and just being, in communion with your work here on an ongoing basis. So thank you. And thank you, Jo, again. I cannot understate again. None of this would have happened without Jo. So thank you so much, Jo, for bringing us all together here and handling all the minute technical details to get this going.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Justin, for trusting me to send all my work, and yeah, for just being so helpful and friendly and kind and really understanding my vision throughout all our conversations and just giving me enough time to be able to explain everything that I'm doing. And for Jo creating such an amazing, conscious, kind community. It blows my mind how different I felt a couple of years ago to when I joined your Patreon and all the wonderful people there. So yeah, you've enriched our lives.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same. It's such an honor to be with you both. I'm kind of pinching myself really because, yeah, we're such a lovely group of people, and to see the connections between people that find each other and then to watch this collaboration develop and to be here tonight and be able to be sort of part of it and sharing and all of this, and hopefully more and more people getting to see your work, Anna, and the very inspiring project that Justin started in Lights in the Sky. And, because this is an experiences, a place to show experiences work, so we're kind of deepening, all of us, all the time, aren't we? And it's got so many threads to other projects as well. I know Far in the Cosmos are doing really cool stuff too. It's a great, at a crazy time in the world, it's actually a really amazing time to be alive and to really feel all of the urge for life that is happening underneath us all, and the kind of pushing through and the searching for what really matters. And and it is nature and community and creating and getting back to the things that make us human beings, basically, spiritual beings on this beautiful earth. So thank you so much, both of you, for for doing this and yeah, I'm very excited to be.
Thank you, Nikki, as well.
Cheers, Nikki, and thanks for everyone for coming along tonight too.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's the first time we've done something like this with, you know, the old spectrum. That bell, by the way, is Dawn. She's just wandered in. She's,
fairy.
yeah, little fairy Tinkerbell with her bell. So yes, thanks to everybody, and I guess I'll hand back to you, Justin, to wrap up there, and yeah, speak to you all soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I don't have too much to say, but please make sure to check out the Modern Fairy Sightings podcast if you have not had an opportunity. That Patreon group, like I mentioned earlier, the Discord group is part of the Patreon that Jo has put together, is how Anna and I met and how a lot of this came together. And then just a reminder, the gallery's website is lightsinthesky333.com. So if you'd like to see more of Anna's work, look at the book, other things, please feel free to check that out. But other than that, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. And thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.